Okay, come now, let's go through worksheet 2.2. So we are going to look at the collection of gas methods. So in experiment, gases are given off. They need to be collected to be identified. So what are the four methods of gas collection? So the first method is actually displacement of water method. So displacement of water. Second one is actually upward delivery. By delivery. Third one is actually downwards delivery. Okay, so downward delivery. And the last method to collect gases is actually using your gas syringe. Now, to measure the volume of a gas, which one do you definitely need to use? Need to use a gas syringe because there are markings, then you can know the volume of the gas. Now, do take note, these four methods are actually covered in your textbook, so do go and read it up. Now, to know which method I should use, typically there are two properties we will need to consider. First is about the solubility of the gas in the water. Okay, we need to check whether the gas can dissolve in water or not. Secondly, we are going to check whether how much is its density compared to the air. Density compared to air. Whether is it denser than air, right, or is it less dense than air? So let's check it out. So displacement of water, typically we will look at gases. Right? So gas syringe, all gases can use gas syringe to collect. But for displacement of water, you can only use gases that are insoluble in water or slightly soluble. Okay, so if the gas is insoluble or slightly soluble in water, only slightly you can actually use displacement of water. Do take note, the density of the gas doesn't matter. Okay, now for downward and upward delivery, typically is suitable for gases that are soluble in water, because once it's soluble in water, you can't use displacement of water method. That's why you can use whether is it going to be upward or downwards. Now, you can see from the downward delivery, the gas is pumped down. So the gas stays at the bottom. The gas doesn't float up, it sinks down to the bottom. So this actually, we know that the gas that's being collected, it should be more dense than air. However, for this upward delivery, you can see the gas is going up. It stays at the top, it doesn't sink down. So therefore, this gas that's collected must be less dense than air. Okay, so this is in terms of how to differentiate the methods that can be used to collect gases. Okay, now do take note, when we collect gases, sometimes we need to dry them because it passes through water and moisture and stuff. The last thing we want is to collect water together with the sample that we have. So what we need to do is we need to dry the gas. So we will typically use drying agents, okay, before we start collecting the gas. So what are some examples of drying agents that we have? So first one is concentrated sulfuric acid. Okay. Second one that we have is actually quicklime. Okay, quicklime is an interesting name, but actually the chemical name that we give is actually calcium oxide, sorry. Right, calcium oxide. And last one, C, is actually fused calcium chloride. Okay, so these are the three drying agents that we typically use. Now, so after drying of gas is done, okay, so now let's try to test ourselves to see whether we know the methods which we should use to collect the gases. So actually the flowchart here actually is quite good to help us with the determination of the method to use for collecting gas. So first one, hydrogen is not soluble in water. So is the gas soluble in water? No, straight away, method 1. Okay, displacement of water. Okay, next one. Very slightly soluble, slightly soluble. So we know that if you see the word slightly soluble, okay, so remember you go back up, it says that if you want to use displacement of water, as long as slightly soluble, we consider it as, we can use displacement of water. So therefore, this is still method 1. Slightly soluble again, method 1. Okay, now question. Can I use gas syringe? Method 4, gas syringe. Remember I told you, as you have done this worksheet, all methods can use gas, all gases can be collected using gas syringe. So actually gas syringe is applicable to all. Now, Question. If this is less, let's say assuming we do not want to use displacement of water, can we use upward or downward delivery? Answer is yes. So if this is less dense than air, actually we can use method 3 together with this, which is upward delivery. This is slightly denser than air, so slightly denser. Actually, we can use method 1 or we can use method 2. 2 is downward delivery. Okay, slightly soluble, we know displacement of water can, but because it's denser, we can also use downward delivery. So I'm just going to go through each of them. So because it's soluble, so therefore we cannot use displacement of water anymore. It's denser, so we use downward delivery. So you can see all of this here, soluble, extremely soluble, all this we cannot use displacement of water. Okay, so we can only depend on upward or downward. So method 2 is downward, method 3 is upward. So if it is denser than air, we will choose downward delivery. So denser than air, downward delivery. Denser than air, downward delivery. Less dense than air, upward delivery. So this upward delivery. Okay. So this is the selection of the various methods that we can use. So typically, how will it look? So now, this is an example of how we are going to use the method. So calcium carbonate, this thing over here is heated, it will produce carbon dioxide gas. So let's go back up. Carbon dioxide, slightly soluble, denser than air. So we can use displacement of water. We can also use downward delivery. We can also use gas exchange. So we just need to draw 2 of the methods. Okay. So first one, let's do for the simple one, because the complete diagram show how you can collect the gas. So first one, I'll draw the simple gas range. Okay, please use ruler to draw. Currently, now I don't have my ruler with me, so yep. Okay, so draw the gas range here. Okay, gas range. Next one, let's draw because carbon dioxide produced is denser than air, so we need to go for a downward delivery. So we need to have a gas jar. Okay. And we will channel the gas in. Okay, channel the gas in. So this is for the downward delivery. This is for the gas exchange method. Now you can also draw the displacement of water method. That will be up to you. But do take note. Okay, either method is fine. Just make sure that you draw it correctly. Okay, so that's all. So this is the end of worksheet 2.2.